McLaren has found itself at the center of an unexpected controversy in the 2025 Formula One season. While the team has been praised for its strong performances and impressive tire management, a surprising accusation from Red Bull has pushed McLaren's latest innovation under the spotlight. The debate now revolves around whether the team is using a clever but possibly illegal trick to keep their tires cooler than the competition. What began as whispers has grown into a major discussion in the paddock, and now even the FIA may be forced to step in. It all started with McLaren's surprising consistency in preserving their tires throughout different races this season. While other teams have struggled to maintain ideal tire temperatures, McLaren seems to have found the perfect formula. Engineers from various teams have been working tirelessly to understand the secret behind McLaren's tire longevity, but one thing has become clear. Something unusual is going on with the MCL39's brake system. This suspicion was confirmed when Red Bull's Christian Horner used thermal imaging cameras and discovered that McLaren's tires appeared significantly cooler compared to the rest of the field. The images revealed cold spots on the surface of the tires, a possible sign that McLaren had found a new way to regulate heat transfer through the braking system. These findings raised immediate concern, especially considering how crucial tire temperature is to car performance in Formula C. 1. At first, there was speculation that McLaren might be using water to cool their tires. The idea was that water was being pumped into or near the tire area to reduce temperatures. But Pirelli, the official F1 tire supplier, was quick to deny any possibility of water being pumped through tire valves. According to Pirelli, this theory simply didn't hold up. Yet the thermal camera footage didn't lie. The tires were cold and the performance advantage was real. To make matters more interesting, McLaren's team principal Zak Brown even joked about the situation. During the Miami Grand Prix, he was seen carrying a water bottle with a sticker that read, "Tire Water," clearly making fun of the accusations. It was a bold and confident move that many interpreted as a message. McLaren knew what they were doing was within the rules, even if it annoyed the competition. But then came a new theory, one that has serious implications for how Formula One might handle innovation in the future. This theory suggests that McLaren is using something called phase change materials, or PCMs, inside their brake systems to keep the tires cool. While that might sound complex, the concept is quite simple. PCMs are materials that can absorb and store large amounts of heat when they change from one physical state to another, like from a solid to a liquid or vice versa. When a PCM melts or solidifies, it maintains a constant temperature. This makes it perfect for applications where thermal regulation is important. In McLaren's case, it's believed that these materials are absorbing heat from the brakes during hard braking zones, preventing that heat from being transferred to the wheels and ultimately to the tires. This process could help McLaren maintain cooler tire temperatures across all compounds, whether soft, medium or hard. Understanding why this is important requires a quick look at how braking affects tire heat. When a driver hits the brakes, the brake discs can heat up to over 1,000 degrees Celsius. This heat then spreads from the brakes to the wheel rims and finally into the tires. If too much heat gets into the tires, they overheat and degrade quickly, leading to poor performance. But with PCMs, much of that heat could be absorbed before it ever reaches the tire surface, offering a massive advantage. The use of PCMs is not completely new to motorsport. In fact, Martin Busch, a former McLaren engineer, wrote a PhD thesis on the use of these materials in F1 nearly 8 years ago. Back then, the technology was still experimental, but now it seems that McLaren may have figured out how to implement it legally in their 2025 car, the MCL39. So far, nothing McLaren has done seems to break any technical rules. According to the current regulations of the FIA, as long as there are no moving parts or electronic systems involved, the setup is legal. That's why this system has gone undetected. It works passively, without any external control. But just because something is currently legal doesn't mean it will remain that way for long. We've seen this kind of situation before. In 2024, McLaren's rear wing was under scrutiny during the Baku Grand Prix. Even though the wing passed all the FIA's flexibility tests onboard footage and aerodynamic data suggested that it was bending slightly under high speeds. Eventually, the FIA stepped in and changed the rules to prevent similar designs in the future. A similar outcome could be on the horizon with this brake system, especially if other teams begin to complain more loudly. It's no surprise that Red Bull has taken the lead in raising concerns. After all, they have the most to lose. McLaren has been gaining ground rapidly, and their dominance in tyre preservation has become a serious threat. Christian Horner, while still weighing whether to make a formal protest, is clearly pushing the FIA to take a closer look at McLaren's brake cooling method. If the use of PCMs is officially confirmed and judged to be outside the spirit of the rules, a major rule change could be on the way, one that forces McLaren to abandon their latest innovation. But the situation is more complicated than it seems. In many ways, this controversy reflects a broader issue in Formula One, the fine line between innovation and rule-breaking. McLaren has done something clever. They've found a unique solution to a well-known problem, and they've done it using existing knowledge and technology. It's not like they've hidden a moving part or broken a sensor seal. They've simply applied smart engineering in a new way. Behind this idea is Rob Marshall, the former Red Bull technical chief who left the team in 2023 to join McLaren. His influence is starting to show. Many believe that McLaren's recent innovations are a result of Marshall finally having the freedom to bring his ideas to life, ideas that might not have made it through the Red Bull development hierarchy. With McLaren now benefiting from his experience and creativity, it's clear that the team's restructuring has paid off. Of course, Red Bull isn't taking all this quietly. Christian Horner recently reminded everyone that McLaren themselves had accused Red Bull of pushing the limits last year, especially regarding their front suspension system. According to Horner, this is just how Formula One works. When a team is doing well, they get more attention. Being examined by rivals and the FIA is part of life at the front of the grid. And it's not just Red Bull speaking out. Many teams are now hoping the FIA will introduce new regulations during the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona to stop McLaren's rise. Whether these changes will actually happen remains to be seen, but it's clear that pressure is building. The more McLaren wins, the more uncomfortable it gets for their competitors. And yet this raises an important question. Is punishing McLaren for their creativity fair? Shouldn't innovation be celebrated in Formula One, a sport that prides itself on technical excellence and pushing the boundaries of engineering? Just because no one else thought of using PCMs in this way doesn't mean it's illegal. It just means McLaren was smarter, or at least faster, in applying this idea. McLaren's team principal Andrea Stella has also spoken about the situation. He suggested that Red Bull is trying to play the victim, even though they still have one of the fastest cars on the grid. According to Stella, Red Bull is just very good at creating a narrative to protect their position. He praised them for being fast, consistent and clever in using every opportunity, both on and off the track, to stay ahead. In the end, this controversy may be more about politics than technology. The teams know that the FIA can be pressured into changing rules when enough voices speak up. That's how things have always worked in Formula One. So now the ball is in the FIA's court. Will they step in and ban McLaren's brake cooling trick, or will they let the innovation